Have you ever had deja vu? That's what I'm experiencing right now as the Bruins are off to a 12-1-2 start in the post Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci era. Forget deja vu, let's call it Deja Bru as we break down last night's win over the Buffalo Sabres.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be. Today is Wednesday, November 15th. I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. How do you do that? Well, you go to your favorite podcast app, you go to YouTube, you search up Locked On Boston Bruins, and you hit that subscribe button so that each new episode is automatically added to your feeds for you to download, listen, watch, and enjoy. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today we are talking about another Boston Bruins win, Deja Bru. The Bruins off to a seemingly unsustainable start, but they just keep winning, and they keep winning, and they keep winning, this time against the Buffalo Sabres. Before we get into my three thoughts on the game, quick reminder, you can find the podcast on social media, X, Threads, Twitter. Oops, not X and Twitter. X, Threads, Instagram, at Locked NHL Bruins. You can find me, my hockey thoughts and dad jokes at Ian C. McLaren. I missed part of the game last night because our son was playing a exhibition rep basketball game. And who should I see as I walk into the gym? Former Boston Bruin, local boy, Rich Peverley in the gym, as one of his kids was playing in a game previously. Great to see Rich, and perhaps that will lead to another podcast appearance coming up sometime soon. Great guy. Can't say enough about Rich Peverley. Always fun to bump into him around town. But the Bruins shook off a lackadaisical effort against the Montreal Canadiens this past weekend and came out strong with a 5-2 victory over the Buffalo Sabres. What can we say? Bag skates work. Head coach Jim Montgomery put the boys through the ringer practice earlier this week after a sluggish effort against Montreal that resulted in a 3-2 overtime loss to the Canadiens, and they came out firing pretty early in this one. Charlie McAvoy especially was just playing as good as I've seen him play, setting up a Danton Heinen goal in the first period, 3 minutes into the game, and then also getting the secondary assist off a great rush where he fed it to Pavel Zacha, who fed it over to David Pastrnak to give the Bruins a 2-0 lead at 4:09 of the first period. We'll talk about some of the goal scorers later on in the game, but Linus Ullmark was in net facing his former team. He stood tall with a performance of, how many saves did he make? 32 saves on 34 shots for a .941 save percentage. And he kind of said it best after the game. He said, playing for the Bruins, having this standard of excellence, it's what everybody strives for. The team has had crazy success in the regular season, especially recently under head coach Jim Montgomery. Ullmark added, quote, "You want to be in a winning culture, you want to create a winning culture, and you want to carry on that winning culture." And Boston has been so good through many years of doing that, and now we've got to pick up the torch and keep the flame burning as bright as it has been, end quote. And again, the story coming into this season was the Bruins losing Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci to retirement. Then Tyler Bertuzzi signs with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Dmitry Orlov signs with the Carolina Hurricanes. Garnet Hathaway goes off to the Philadelphia Flyers. Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno traded to the Chicago Blackhawks. How could they possibly come close to replicating the success from last regular season? Could they even stay afloat in the Eastern Conference and in the playoff race? Lo and behold, here as I speak, the Bruins are first overall in the NHL with one more point than the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights, coached by former Bruins bench boss Bruce Cassidy, and in one fewer game played. So the point differential actually has Vegas in third at the moment, with the New York Rangers in second with an 821 point percentage, the Bruins at 867, and they rank third in terms of goal differential at plus 21. Just an unreal start for the Boston Bruins, who I believe have something like an 830 point percentage under head coach Bruce Cassidy. Let's pull that up here. And that is indeed the case. The Bruins have played 97 regular season games under, no, sorry, not Bruce Cassidy, Jim Montgomery. 97 regular season games under Jim Montgomery. They have a record of 77, 13, and 7 for an 830 point percentage. The next closest team since the start of last regular season is Vegas, who has a 694 point percentage. Yes, they didn't get it done in the playoffs. Incredibly disappointing, but as I said last week in my letter to future Bruins fans, you got to enjoy the journey. It's not always about the destination. They've only reached that peak in what did I say? 2-3% of potential Stanley Cups in my lifetime. And they've played thousands of regular season games during that time. You got to enjoy the journey. And right now, it is fun to be a Boston Bruins fan. Beating the Buffalo Sabres again last night, thanks to a fantastic performance from David Pastrnak, who we'll talk about next, and some firsts on the score sheet for four others who we will talk about later on in the contest. Bad news for the Sabres in this one. Tage Thompson left the game at 11:05 of the second with an upper body injury. He also missed 50 minutes of the first period with a lower body injury, but returned. I saw a producer from the Steve Dangle podcast network trying to post a video to say that incident in the first was intentional. Boston Bruins living rent-free in the SDPN world between Brad Marchand on Liljegren. They were celebrating a Dahlin hit on Marchand. Just, that was not intentional. And Thompson will miss significant time because of the upper body injury, where it looked like he got his hand or wrist dinged by an errant shot. So that will keep the Sabres from really moving up in the standings. And I'll do the power rankings tomorrow. Wanted to cover last night's game today, so we'll get to the power rankings tomorrow. But Buffalo certainly in not the greatest of spots at the moment. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. David Pastrnak could score 60 again. Maybe the Bruins make good on this great start and hoist the Stanley Cup. And you can win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. It's our number one choice for daily fantasy sports. And with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether players will record more or less on their sleeper projections for goals, assists, saves. And to win 100 times on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. That's to win 100 times your bet. So Bruins fans, win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. Start paying attention and nail all your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get to a $100 match on your first deposit. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms and locational availability on the app. The star performer for the Boston Bruins last night was, once again, David Pastrnak. He, like I mentioned earlier, took that cross-ice pass from Zaka on the rush and scored on a picture-perfect one-timer to make it 2-0 early in the first period. He later he recorded the primary assist on Brandon Carlo's goal, which really should have also drawn an assist from Linus Ullmark for boldly going where few goalies go before. 2 Sabres bearing down on him. He gets out there, pokes it away, and the Bruins come back the other way, resulting in a goal for Brandon Carlo. And then he also drew the primary assist on a power play goal from Hampus Lindholm. With this outburst offensively, David Pastrnak is now up to 24 points on the season, just one back of the league lead, which is currently held by Elias Pettersson over in Vancouver, I should say. In terms of points per game, Pastrnak 1.67, which is behind Artemi Panarin at 1.71, and Jack Hughes, who had recorded 20 points in 10 games prior to his injury. And of course, once he's back, he should be back in the running for that league lead. But in a season where Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are both off to pretty uncharacteristic slow starts, there's an opportunity here for someone else to step up, win the Art Ross, win the Hart, and why not David Pastrnak? The Bruins, again, the top team in the NHL. So many people expected them to take a step back. Sans, Bergeron, and Krejci. And after losing all those guys in free agency or via trade, but look at him now. 15 games, 11 goals, 13 assists for a total of 24 points. And he's on pace to eclipse his point totals from last season, in which he was a Hart Trophy finalist. Right now, he's on pace for 60 goals, 71 assists for 131 total points. That would be up from last year's 61 goals. So one fewer, but he had 52 assists last year. So his assist total is really helping things at the moment. And they're not just fillers either. Last night, he had the 2 primary assists. So he's really helping drive play as well and create opportunities for others, as well as cashing in himself at a near career rate. And his shooting percentage isn't really that inflated at the moment, 15.9. It was at 15 last year. If he can continue to stay on this 50, 60 goal pace, continue to rack up the helpers, and if the Bruins, they don't have to remain in first place, but still continue to exceed expectations, there should be no reason why he is not a front runner for the league MVP. Now, having said that, there's no better story than a team that starts off poor and then they come back. So say the Oilers get on a streak here and McDavid goes off, leads the Oilers back into the playoff picture and still manages to win the scoring race. That will only increase his legend and lend credence to the fact that he's the best player on the planet. But at the moment, he's not even in the top 50 when it comes to scoring. Right now, 12 games played, 3 goals, 9 assists for 12 points, tied with the likes of Trevor Moore, Joel Farabee, Shea Theodore, a defenseman, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Mike Matheson, and Brady Shea. Our own Charlie Coyle has the same amount of points as Connor McDavid. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the reigning MVP. Doesn't seem like he's fully healthy at the moment. And it's a good opportunity for our boy to add some hardware to his shelf after having already won the Richard Trophy a few years ago, splitting it with Alex Ovechkin. David Pastrnak on another level at the moment. Well, not even. It's the same level that he was on last year, but with new centers, new line mates, he's making it work. He's an elite player, one of the best in the NHL, and the Bruins are lucky to have him. Now, while he was racking up the points, some other guys were getting their first goals of the season, and we'll give them some props here as the podcast continues. Everyone should feel empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. Jace Medical handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. The Jace case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jace case is to fill out a simple online form and maybe jump on a quick call with one of their board-certified physicians. Get ongoing care from physicians on any treatment-related questions. It's doctor-created and doctor-recommended. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Also, remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. That's jacemedical.com and get life-saving medication designed specifically for you. Thanks again for making Locked On Bruins part of your day. Tomorrow, I promise we'll be back with updated Atlantic Division power rankings and all the latest on the black and gold. I want to let you know also that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. And speaking of firsts, no fewer than 4 Bruins scored their first goals of the NHL season last night. And that was a huge boost to a guy like David Pastrnak, who's been carrying a heavy load offensively. Great to get some of that secondary scoring going. I mentioned Danton Heinen scoring his first back in black and gold off a play from Charlie McAvoy and Matt Poitras, who got an assist on that one after a few quieter games where, there's a bit of concern that he may be hitting a wall. Poitras back on the score sheet with a secondary assist, and he now ranks, let's see here, 7th on the team with 8 points in 15 games, 4 goals, and 4 assists. Brandon Carlo off that wildly, I don't want to say irresponsible, but chance-taking poke check from Linus Ullmark, who was able to help send the puck the other way. Zacha and Pastrnak scoring on, or getting the assists on that one. Oscar Steen, who has played very, very well in the absence of Jacob Lauko and Milan Lucic on the 4th line. Lauko, of course, is back. He got an assist last night on that Steen goal. And once Milan Lucic comes back, there's going to be a real conversation about whether Steen should stay in the lineup, because he has played very well for the Boston Bruins in the, let's see here, 8 games that he's had. He's only got the 1 goal to show for it, but he's got 10 shots, and he's been, not getting a ton of ice time. So in the time that he's been out there, he's been playing well, much to the delight of Abby Pomeroy, I am sure. And then finally, we talked about him on yesterday's podcast. I told you it wasn't quite time to worry about Hampus Lindholm, and lo and behold, he hits the score sheet with his first goal of the season. A nice little play that was set up by David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand on the power play, a snapshot goal for Hampus Lindholm. So great to see those four guys get off the schneid, so to speak. And still a few Bruins who have yet to score their first goals of the season. Milan Lucic, he's only played 4 games with an injury, so we'll give him a pass there. But Kevin Shattenkirk, Derek Forbort, you don't really expect it from, yet to score. And Jacob Lauko as well, of the regulars who have played this season. So getting offense up and down the lineup, and that was great to see all 4 of those guys score their first goals of the season. Now, unfortunately, the Bruins are off here for a couple days. They are practicing here on Wednesday, but they don't play again until Saturday, when they will take on the Montreal Canadiens once again, this time in the friendly confines of TD Garden. A big 4-game week coming up next week. Road games against Tampa and Florida, a Black Friday home game with the Detroit Red Wings, and then right back at it next Saturday with an afternoon game against the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. So it'll be a busy week next week. Thank you for joining me here on today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with all the latest on the Black and Gold, as well as updated Atlantic Division power rankings. Please do take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'm still going to try to get rid of this head cold, as you surely can hear in my voice, and I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, friends. Nothing but love for all of you.